This video will explain the process of how to access CS 2020 materials from Canvas, how to print out extra notes and materials, and finally how to use bgunix. bgunix again should be used to submit your programs for collection. You can develop their programs on any platform, any IDE, Studio included, but once you go to turn them in, you will have to port them to bgunix. So the first thing is where to find the materials. If you go to Canvas and open up your Canvas portal, you will see the file link. Under Files, there's a list of the materials. Now, this folder, CS 2020 Materials for Students, contains everything you'll need for this class. Everything that I will cover. That material can be printed out in this form or downloaded. It's a PDF file that contains all the notes and all the materials. What's not in this PDF, of course, are the executable files, textbook information, and all that stuff. Homework, labs, programs, you will actually be able to retrieve them from Canvas under Assignments. Assignments is not active now. It will be active once the first program, first lab is available. Also, you'll see here something called video notes, and that is a series of tutorials, videos that's attached or linked to the book. I think one of the authors actually narrates the videos. So you can download any one of these links by simply just double clicking on it to retrieve the materials. Again, the PDF files will have this one has all the materials, notes, and exercises. This one just has all the exercise sheets. I have passed out those exercise sheets, but if you want them in a regular form instead of 2 sheets per page, you can print them out yourself. It's about 50 pages. That is how to obtain the materials. The other thing you will be doing is you will be submitting work onto bgunix. bgunix is a multi-user system. We use it for classes so that we can collect materials from you and actually run them in an automated way. In upper level classes, you'll do more interesting things on bgunix. But for now, bgunix can be obtained by first going to your MyBGSU portal, scrolling all the way to the bottom, and you will see a link for adding a server. Now, when you click on that link to add a server, there should only be one option there, and that option is bgunix. You submit that, and within minutes now, it used to take a day, within minutes, your bgunix account will be created. Again, this means that you have an account on a multi-user, what's called a mainframe computer. Once you obtain your bgunix account, you will use something called the BG Toolkit to actually communicate with your bgunix account. So, I have downloaded the CS 2020 materials. Let's take a look inside of it. One thing you'll see here is something called the course pack. That contains all the notes, all the handouts, sample code, textbook code, a lot of materials there. There's that PDF version of all the materials and notes and the PDF version of the just exercise sheet. So all the PowerPoints are in here. All my notes can be found in this course pack. The other thing that's here is something called bgunix Toolkit. The toolkit is the way that we're going to communicate with bgunix. It's set up to work at the root directory of your computer. So, for instance, what you would want to do is get to the C drive if you have a PC. If you have a Mac, in the notes there are some instructions on how to manipulate your Mac to be able to use bgunix. Basically, what we're going to be doing will be 2 processes. You'll be telnetting to the computer to issue commands, and you'll be FTPing to the computer to transfer files. Okay, So here I have my PC. I'm going to go to the root directory. That's the C drive. And you will see that I have already copied over the bgunix toolkit. If I open that toolkit from the C drive, I will see the two applications that I need. Again, this is Windows exclusive. If you're using a Mac, there are instructions on other FTP programs or Telnet programs that you can use. If you know some yourself, you are welcome to use them. The first program is called PuTTY. So PuTTY allows you to log on to bgunix and issue commands. The first command, well, let's get into PuTTY first. So when you open up PuTTY, there's already a shortcut here for bgunix. You'll simply double click on it. It will open up bgunix and ask you to log in. You will log in with your regular username. That's your BG email username. You do not put @bgsu.edu. And then you'll type in the password that you currently have. Once you get into bgunix, you will notice that it looks similar to an operating system called DOS. And DOS is an operating system where you give a lot of command line instructions. So for bgunix right here, I am going to give the command ls. That command ls says list everything that's in my directory right there, in my folder, so to speak. So directories and folders are synonymous. So right now, I have already set up my class directory. Your job is to do the same. In the handout, it talks about some things that you have to do to set up the class directory. The first thing you will do is type in cs-config. Now, I won't issue this command, but this command is very meticulous. What I mean by that is you must have spelling right, no spaces between the dash. It must be exactly what you see on the screen. Once you issue that command and hit enter, this will set up a scenario where your bgunix account will do some of the things that we like to do in the CS department. So the first thing we'd like to do in the CS department is join a class directory. To do that, you'll type in class space -join space CS 2020C for Conway. This will join you to the class and give you a common folder that both you and I can look into. So I'm going to hit this, but it's going to say it already exists. So I'm already a member of that CS 2020 group. Okay, when you do it, you will not get this message. Once you have set up CS configured, once you have joined the class, you're simply going to type log out. Log out will set everything up and get it all in motion. Okay, once you log out, you're going to then immediately log back in and make sure everything is working properly. So again, I'm going to issue my username. I'm going to put in my password, and I'm logged back in. Now, from here on out, every time I log in, I do not want to do any work in what's called my login directory. Right away, I want to change my directory and go to my CS 2020 class. So I'm going to issue the command cd for change directory and type in 2020C. When I do that and hit enter, I notice the prompt now is different and it has a /CS2020C before the $ prompt. That means that I am now in my class directory. By putting your work here, I have access to it and I can collect it. So I'm going to type in ls, and I see that in that class directory I have a library. We're going to talk about the library, but you probably will not use it frequently. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is set up correctly. I'm going to log out again. Okay, so that's the way I get to bgunix to issue commands. The other thing I want to do with bgunix is take files from my Visual Studio project or Code Warrior or whatever you're using and drag those files onto bgunix or upload them. All right, so here I have two files called first array and second array, and I'm going to put those files in my bgunix account. Okay, now let me go back and say this. If you were in CS 2010, you learned how to create projects, and you also learned that within your projects you had a file called a CPP file. This CPP file is the file that contains all the code. It is the only file you really need to upload onto bgunix. If your program is using a data file, then of course you would have to upload that data file also. But you would simply go into the project, find the data file, find the CPP file or the source code file, and drag those things onto bgunix. Now, how do you do that? Well, the other part of this packet is a program called WinSCP Portable. This is a FTP program. Now, if you like to use FileZilla or any other FTP program, feel free to use whatever you want. When you double click and open up this, again, there's a link already in here to bgunix. So you click on Login, type in your username again, type in your password, and click OK. Once you do that, you will see your bgunix account. Now, here you can see that my directory is directory 33. Out of all the directories on bgunix, I'm in directory 33. There is no rhyme or reason to it. You might be in directory 85 or 27. It's not alphabetical. It's not anything like that. This is my login directory, and I have files from the past in there. But the one thing you'll see in there is something that looks like a little shortcut right there. That's CS 2020C. That is my class directory. That's the one that we'll all share. Okay? So if I double click on it, I see that library again. In there, you'll notice now that my path has changed to home classes instead of 33. Home classes CS 2020C R Conway. So within our class directory, I have my own personal directory. You will have your own personal directory, and that directory will have your username as the name of the directory or folder, whatever you want to call it. But now I can grab files from my zip drive, from the desktop or whatever, and drag it and drop it in there. So I'll copy it, and now that file is in there. I will copy it, and now that file is in there. Now that we have files in there, we can now go back to PuTTY and actually do some things with those files. I do what? I go CD, CS 2020C. I do not want to do anything in my login directory. Take a look. That first array and second array files are not in there. That's all the stuff from the past. So I have to go change directory, 2020C. Now I'm in my class directory. I do an ls. There's that first array and second array files. Okay? Now, let's talk about some Unix commands. One command you've seen me use is a command called ls. ls allows me to see what's in a directory. I have special flags. The one I'm going to use is ls-o, and that's O, not 0, and that will give me more information about the files that's in there. You'll notice first array and second array, how large they are, the dates they were created. And also you see here that the library is a little bit off of my directory. Here's the actual link to where that library directory is. So that's one thing. Another thing that you can do, and again, it's probably a waste of time doing this with the FTP program, but sometimes if you're exclusively using Unix and you want to look inside of a file, you can give the cat command. So I can say cat first array dot cpp, and what that will do is, it's short for concatenation. It will show the file on the screen. So now I see all of the file. Again, I have to scroll up to see part of it, but there it is right there. Now, the cat command comes with some other flags that you can add, but we won't talk about those now. So I can create a flag where I can see only part of the screen. Let's just do that one. Notice if I hit the up arrow, it brings the last command up again. So I hit the up arrow and it shows me all the commands that I've issued. So I'm going to do this little pipe thing and then say more. When I do that, it will show me that same file, but a screen at a time until I hit the space bar. So there are little flags and things that you can do with the cat command. The other command, again, that you probably will not use, and the reason I say you will not use it, because it's just as easy to go here and double click the file and open it up in Notepad. Here you can make corrections to it, and then once you make those corrections, I'm just going to add a little space here. Notice there's not a star there right there. I add a little space, and no, oh, now it turned red. I save it, and now that file has been saved back onto bgunix. Now I want to make sure that, so I'm going to open up the bgunix thing at window, and yes, it has been saved. Sometimes when I save it in this window and it won't pop up until you click on it, it will say, are you sure you want to save it? But right now it's defaulted to save it. So I can actually make additions and changes to my program via this WinSCP instead of using bgunix to open the file and edit it. Okay. The other thing that I was going to talk about is in bgunix, Intelnet, at the command prompt, is that I can remove a file. So to remove a file, I would type in rm and then the name of the file. But again, why would I do that? Because I could simply go here, right click on the file, and then just simply delete it. So if I have both windows open, I would choose this option. If I don't have FTP open, of course, I would choose the other option. Now, so here we go. What's the most important thing over here? I have a CPP file here that's ready to be executed. You know, in Visual Studio, to execute this file, you simply pull down on Run Project in Visual Studio or hit F5 and run the project. It compiles it and then it goes through and executes it. Here on bgunix, it's a two-step process. The first thing you have to type in is G++, that's a lowercase g++, and then the name of the file that you want to compile. This is the compile command for bgunix. Okay, now if I have not made any syntax errors, and you know what those are, this thing should compile and come back like that. Okay, if I have syntax errors in it, I'm going to recommend that if you're developing your program over in Visual Studio, you fix all of those errors over there and only port this file up when you are ready to make it available for collection. So now that I have compiled this file, let's look in the directory again. In the directory, you'll see something called an a.out file. The a.out file is the executable file. It turns out that every time you compile a program, an a.out file is created when it's successfully compiled. So if I compile firstarray.cpp, that a.out file is associated with first array. If I then turn around and compile secondArray.cpp, that a.out file is overwritten and now it will execute for secondArray.cpp. So the a.out file is only good for the last successfully compiled program. So I just compiled firstarray.cpp. So I'm going to type a.out, hit enter, and it's now running my program. So I run my program, I put in values. I have no idea what I'm putting in now, but it's good. And it gives me the output for that program. Now again, if I want to run this program again, I just type in a.out again, and it will run the program and let me put in a different set of values. If I see something wrong in this program, my suggestion is to go back over to Visual Studio, fix it, copy it back onto here, and then execute it on there. Okay? Now, that brings us to the next command that's one of the more important commands. In order for me to see your program running in Visual Studio, the graduate student had to execute all of your programs one at a time. In bgunix, we have the ability to let you execute the program and screen capture everything that you do in that process. To create that screen capture, we're going to use a command called photo. So I'm going to call this photo, and I'm just going to call it demo. Now, when I give you assignments, I will give you specific names for what I want you to call that photo, because that photo is going to be something I collect. So if I say call it prog1 and you call it program1, we're going to have problems. So once I hit the photo command, notice now it says script started, file is demo. It's recording everything that I'm doing. You'll also notice that the command prompt has changed a little bit. This is because now we're running a script to record everything that's there. So one thing I want to do is cat the file. So I'll go cat first array.cpp. Okay, that will list all the contents of the program in that photo capture so the graduate student can look at it. Now, once I've listed the lines of code, the next thing I want to do is show that it successfully compiles. So I'm going to type in first array.cpp. I'm going to type in G++ space first array.cpp, hit enter, and compile that program successfully. Now the program has been compiled. The next thing I'm going to do is issue the a.out command. So I issue a.out, and I'm now running that program again. Again, I'm just putting in values. I have no idea. That person was. And there are my values. Now I've listed the program, I've shown that it compiles successfully, and I've actually executed it, and now you see the results. That's basically what I'm going to have you do when you turn in your programs to me, okay? So now that I'm done with all that, I want to simply type in exit, and exit stop my script. Now, a bad thing to do is to try to open up the photo file within bgunix. I do not want you to touch or edit or do anything to it. The dates and everything that it was created should jive, so to speak, coincide. But I'm going to go over here to WinSCP again, and I'm going to refresh the screen, and I see here I have that demo file. There's the a.out file also, but again, if you click on this thing, you might just disappear. So I would not open it. All right, so the demo file is what's in the directory, and it's what I'm going to collect. And by the way, I didn't suffix this thing, but we're normally going to call this file demo.photo or .log or something like that to give it some kind of extension. Okay? And basically, that's all you will do and have the file ready for me to collect. Now, one other thing. There is a command listed in the handout that shows you how to copy a file to and from the library. But my suggestion again is if you're going to copy a file to or from the library, just double click on the library and drag it from here onto your computer. And basically everything that I'm going to give you, I'm going to put up on Canvas anyway. But if you need to get anything from the library, again, you can double click and go there. The ... don't use it. Use the arrow to go back to your class directory. Use the arrow to go back to your login directory. But again, I don't want you doing anything in the login directory. Everything will be stored in your class directory according to this link right here. Okay, so I will rarely, probably never put anything in the library that I won't also put out on Canvas. That is the tutorial on how to use bgunix. Again, you're just going to use it to execute, to copy the file, upload it, and then execute it to be collected. All right. You will have a homework assignment to do just that. E gives a bunch of commands that you're going to use. Now, one of the commands says to get the file secondArray.cpp from the library. You don't have to do that. You can download first array and second array the same way I just did it, by just simply copying it into your class directory directly from your flash drive or from the desktop. And that is all.